So good morning, everyone. It's good to see so many people here to support Whittier. And a couple of us just got back from ICSC Shopping Center Conference up in Las Vegas, and you'll hear some more about that. A lot of really good things going on in Whittier. A lot of good stuff. Jeff's going to tell you about it. So it's a good time. It's a good time. But I would be remiss if I didn't also share some other things that are going on. And remember last year we brought back caps from In-N-Out to announce In-N-Out was going to be in Whittier? Remember? Yeah. But as I said, there's some other stuff that's going on, and I, as I said, would be remiss if I wasn't straight up with you, to be candid with you. I'm looking at my 4 colleagues here. And the last couple months have been tough. The homelessness issue it took its toll on your council. It took its toll on your mayor. It took its toll on your staff. And we're still working through it, because it ain't over. So it's been hard, to be candid with you. We've also, the city budget, Jeff's going to talk about that. We have a problem. And some of you know about it, but we're going to have more detail. We have a problem. Near and dear to my heart, we've had council meetings. We've had, in January, we had 2. In February, we had 3 council meetings. In March, we had 3 council meetings. In April, we only had 2. Here we are in May, and it takes a lot of time because there's a lot of issues going on, and it's hard on the staff and it's hard on the council. We've been going till 10:30, 11. One night we're at 11:30. So it's you know, and you feel well, and then the office of the mayor is different than it used to be. I get emails, phone calls all the time, way more than we've had in the past. I know the city managers, I know the city council members do. Social media, there's just a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot bigger job than it used to be. And it's all part-time. It's all part-time. So I want you all to be aware that it's difficult. And I've been feeling candidly, I mean, many of you know me. I mean, I'm going to say it like it is. I've been feeling overwhelmed. I know some of the council members have been feeling the same way. And so here we are at Chamber of Commerce, and I'm supposed to be saying, yeah, rah, 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 do, right? And you're going to get some of that, because there is a lot of that. But there's this other side. So as I was thinking about it, I was trying to think, you know, what's really important? And I didn't know what I was going to say this morning until about 8 o'clock last night. And then it dawned on me that what we're really all about is not programs, not developments, it's not new stuff going on. What we're all about is people, relationship. How did that happen? Well, Mark in the East Whittier City School District, where's Mark? Back here, had a program yesterday down at Liberty Plaza to talk about what's going on in the East Whittier City School District. And one of the students from East Whittier Junior High, middle school, got up and talked about how he and some of the other leaders, how they went out and did a work day together, and some of the things that they learned working together in the community. And he made a comment, Mark. He made a comment that he really kind of understood what it was to serve, and how important it was in this community, how much he enjoyed it, and how much he's going to grow and go to high school and go to college, and he's going to come back here. Remember he said that? Kathy, you were there. Josue, you were there. Fernando, Henry was there. It was a big deal. So there was the people aspect. And then last evening, I had the opportunity to go to a meeting of the mentors of Imagine Whittier. And some of you know what Imagine Whittier is. It's something that's unique to Whittier. Nobody else is doing it. And that is when a family is found in homelessness, the whole Child and Salvation Army work with them. They get into housing and they get them into program, but they have something that is unique, as I said, and that is we have mentors here in Whittier from different churches, from different organizations that work one-on-one with those formerly homeless moms and kids. And one of the mentors, and last night was 1 year celebration, and talking about what it's like. And we're talking very, very, very broken people. And these are people that don't hang out on the green belt. These are people that you don't see, who are being cared for. And one of the mentors last night made the comment, she had a young mother who was, I think, in her late 20s, I think, and she had a son or a daughter, and has been in homelessness, and she's out now, and she's working. She has a job. And so one of the mentors, there is a mentor per family that works on financial affairs to work with the mother or father, to teach them about budgeting. And the mentor said, she said, my mentee had made enough money that she had to pay taxes, but she had a refund. And she goes, I think that was one of the first times that maybe she paid taxes, and that she took the refund, and what she did with the refund is instead of spending it, she paid off her student loan debt. She paid off her debt. Think about that. I mean, that's a huge thing for even us. So this young lady understood and had learned some financial practices, because many who are homeless are this far from falling back into the cycle of poverty. And I go, whoa. And that's because this mentor is working one-on-one with a broken person. And you know, how many here are broken? Don't put your hand up there. A lot of us are broken. Yeah. And then I had the chance to go to the Tri-Cities ROP, Administration of Justice Academy, last night. And there was 50 students who got into the academy initially. Only 16 made it. It's very rigorous, not only academically, but physically, training-wise. And I heard a story about one of the kids, one of the students, who has been having issues in high school and issues with family in that. Got into the academy, and that young man, discipline, working hard, academics, and has changed that young man's life. And mom and dad were there to see the transformation. So I got thinking, Joe, how can you really get overwhelmed when you see all these good things happening? And then I remembered something. It is about relationship. It is about people. And we have something very special here in Whittier, and that is we have people who care. And many, many of you in here, sure, you're business people, and many, many of you in here are nonprofits. You care. But that's something that we do in Whittier. We care. And I appreciate the fact that this chamber puts an emphasis on caring in different ways. Your city leaders, your city staff, your police department, your fire department. I bet you don't even know, many of our firefighters are Whittier kids who are now adults. And they choose to hang out in Whittier and serve the people of Whittier. So that's something we have going for us. And I want us always to remember that Whittier cares, and Whittier people take care of each other. And I want to encourage all of us, even in the craziness of all social media and all the garbage we hear, that when it comes right down to it, it's one-on-one, people to people. and we care. Whittier, strong. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Good to be here this morning. And Mayor's correct. We have some really good things and we have some real challenging things to share this morning about what's going on here in Whittier. So let me get started here and chat a little bit about our agenda this morning. Talk a little bit about City Council. Got an election coming up later, or next year. We have economic development issues that are going on in the community. We've got transportation mobility issues that we're grappling with. We've got lots of traffic in our community. How are we helping people move through our community? We have a lot of city projects going on, parks and various things that we'll chat about. We have the fiscal update that we're going to chat about, and again, that's one of our bigger challenges right now that we're dealing with. We have public safety and homelessness issues that the mayor talked about, and that's another area we really need to focus on. So let's go ahead and dive in. There's a lot of material here, as always, and I want to move through it quickly, and we'll hang out and answer any questions you may have afterwards, but let's go ahead and get started. So, our City Council, you know them well. Again, we have Joe as our mayor. Fernando is now our mayor pro tem for this year, and they are working long hours, working very hard. You don't see them in the news like some of our neighboring cities going to conferences and let's get ready to rumble. No, we don't have any of that going on here. They are working very hard, and they have a lot of issues. In fact, we're actually talking about, we have too many meetings, and we're trying to ratchet that back just because it's not only hard on staff, but it's hard on the council to be in meetings and all the homework and reading that they have to do in preparation for these meetings. So we're grappling with a lot of issues. They're doing an awesome job leading the community. So we do have an election coming up next year. As you may recall, we have the next election is actually May 3rd. It's a new date, and we're tied, or excuse me, March 3rd. We're tied in now with the new presidential primary date, which has changed in California. And we have 3 offices that'll be up. It'll be Council Districts 1 and 3, and the mayor's position will be up for election. And so the other thing that will change is Lisa will not be conducting that election this time around. This will be the first time that it's actually shifted to the county. The county will run the election, so that'll make it much easier on city staff and the impact that elections had on us. But it'll also save us about $300,000 a year, and that's another nice benefit to that particular process. The other thing that's coming up is the census. We're getting to the end of a decade, so we start over again, and we need to count everybody. This will be the 5th census that I've been a part of in my career, and so you look at this and you kind of go, okay, what's the big deal? Census Bureau comes out and counts people. Well, it's not always easy to find people, and you have folks that are hard to get a hold of, and you want to make sure you count everybody. It's critical. We all remember going back to junior high and high school, we took those government classes and understanding how is representation determined? It's based on population, and so we need to count everybody. How is funding allocated? Many times it's per capita. It's how many people are in our communities. And so we need to have an accurate count. We have a complete count committee that's working here in Whittier, and we want to make sure that we count everybody. So you'll be seeing this more and more, and want you to help out in helping identify folks that may be under the radar so we can count everybody here in Whittier for the 2020 census. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about economic development. Obviously, economic development is something that is a high priority to us. We want to work with businesses, be business friendly, and that's always been a high priority here in Whittier, working with the chamber. We're very proud that, again, this last year we were recognized as the most business friendly city in LA County. Again, this is the second time this has occurred. We're one of only 4 cities in the county that have won this award twice. And that's a big deal. It really is. We look at our unemployment statistics. Things are going actually quite well. Again, we're about 4.3% unemployment rate, very good. We measure up pretty much evenly with most of the other areas around us. We see new businesses opening. We have a net number of 45 new businesses that have opened up since June of last year. Again, very good. That's a very strong number. Again, especially when you're in a built-out community. Sure, you have some businesses that will close as is normal, but we have a net increase of 45, and we know we have new businesses that'll be coming in over at the Groves, for instance. Look forward to that and working with Frontier and Brookfield and bringing in those new businesses, but we see things happening. We know that places like Osh closed, and we're sad to see that, but again, a net of 45 is a very positive number. We also have a number of other new businesses will be opening up here, and again, this is just a partial list of some of the businesses. Some of them are in Uptown, some of them are out on Whittier Boulevard. Again, we're looking forward to that. In fact, I just had an application come across my desk, and it's La Bodega Brewery coming in, and that'll be up on Comstock, right next to the bookstore. And anyway, Friends of the Library bookstore right next door. And again, we're seeing these investments in our community, and this is a big deal for our community. So we'll see those businesses coming soon. Poet Gardens, again, another very exciting enterprise coming in. Looking forward to them opening this summer. I think they'll be a fantastic success and will again be a key part of the success of Uptown, and look forward to seeing them open up this summer. We also have a lot of investments from the city side, and again, we've talked about this for the last several years about we have our former redevelopment agency bond funds that we're investing in Uptown. We have streetscape plan and parking structure and things like that coming. Well, things are moving. We have the temporary or interim parking lot that's been built on the old Alpha Beta site at Comstock. That will be actually just to house the parking that will be displaced when we build a parking structure just down the block and across the street. We needed a place for those folks to park, and so we built this on an interim basis. But the exciting thing about this is that we will actually be going out and seeking proposals to develop this site because actually next Tuesday night the council is approving the plans and going out to bid on a new parking structure. Once that's under construction, we want to start talking about getting a developer to develop this piece, the Alpha Beta site, and getting new development on there. It will likely be a mixed-use development. Council will be grappling with what they want to see there. Again, another great catalytic project coming for Uptown, and we'll see that occurring. The parking structure itself that will be approved and ready to go out to bid on Tuesday will be about 350 parking spaces, 3.5 levels. We're designing it and working, and we're actually out talking to folks about EV chargers for vehicles. We met with Tesla, and we're trying to reach out to other folks to see about how we can get EV chargers in there. That'll be important. We're looking at automated systems for pay stations and so forth, and so all of that technology will be a part of this particular structure. And again, I would say this time next year we're going to be well under construction, and probably by the end of 2020 you'll see the structure opening up. Our streetscape plan is another item that we've been working on, and this actually dates back to the the Uptown Whittier specific plan that was adopted back in 2008. And we wanted to do streetscape improvements and looking at a transformation of Uptown. We've been going through this process for several years. The council will again have this item, this document, on their agenda Tuesday night for adoption as well. Again, this is a process that we've had a lot of discussions because it talks about what do we do with the ficus trees in Uptown? Do we transform and start moving away from them to a different variety? How do we do that, and how do we phase that? And so this plan talks about that. We also have other aspects of that particular plan that talk about providing for valet parking, allowing for parking meters. So all of these are components of this plan, and we'll go forward. It'll have to be done in a phased manner through starting on Greenleaf, but we'll look to go after funding and continue phasing this throughout all of Uptown over time. The Groves in Whittier. Great project. It's a 2-decade project, isn't it? It's been a long time coming. And some of us have been there. I wasn't even there at the beginning, and I've been here 15 years. And it's been a long time coming to get to this point, but it is happening, and we're excited about it. If you go out there and take a look, you're going to see well north of $300 million invested in this piece of property, 750 homes, shopping center, repurposing of 4 historic buildings on the site, and then there's open space being added. You see revenue streams that will come in, and some of that's been factored into our fiscal plans for the future. So a lot is happening on this site, but you know, it's like anything, it's going to take a while, and these guys have been out there grading and doing a lot of work. So we'll show you a little bit about what plans have been made. This is the entrance coming in off of Philadelphia, and that'll give you an idea of what the architects were looking at to give you a feel for the type of improvements and quality that they will be using on the site. It'll be very attractive. Again, Frontier will be the developer of the commercial area, and we're looking forward to working with them and seeing that construction start, and hopefully we're talking foundation work and things like that about a year from now, and starting construction of buildings and going vertical out there. But in the meantime, there's a lot of earth being moved out there on the site. They have to over-excavate almost the entire site. You're going down 8-10 feet in areas and removing all the soil and then recompacting all of it and then regrading to the grades that they need. So there's a lot of earth movement out there. They did a lot of remediation of some of the old structures that were on the site. It's a very tedious process that they've been going through, but it's all necessary to make way for buildings to come out onto the site. Stormwater requirements are very high requirements now and very costly. And this is an example. They actually have these structures, and there will be 2 of these structures being built on the property that will actually take stormwater, and they will store that water, and then they will release it downstream as there's capacity in the storm drain system. These are massive structures. You look at the height of that, and you look at this, and you look at the equipment there, you see the worker there on the right-hand side, they're 14, 16 feet high, I think. So they're very large structures. These are the kinds of things that we have to do now to comply with stormwater requirements on new projects. And the scale of these improvements and the cost is dramatically gone up. And so people don't always understand, why does development cost so much? Well, our environmental regulations that we all think are good ideas come with big price tags associated with them. And we need to realize that. And here's an example of something that you won't see down the road because it'll be all covered with soil and you won't even know that it's there, but lots of money went into constructing these improvements. Some of these other aspects that I talked about were the historic buildings. On the top is the administration building, which is going through renovation as well, and then below is the superintendent's residence. Again, they're going to be just attractive. The old commissary or chapels building is currently under construction and renovation. You get an idea of what the appearance of that is looking like. You get inside and you see just the bones of this building. It's beautiful. And this will be a spectacular space. This room actually will be available for rental by the public. And so it'll be accessible to our community, and that's a big deal to have access to a space like this. And when it's all done and renovated, it'll be beautiful and be a great asset to our community. Also, we have plenty of housing coming in. New attached and detached housing units will be coming in. We also have larger active adult, multifamily residential will be components of this project. So great improvements and new housing opportunities coming to Whittier soon. We're excited about that. Some of us are more excited about some of the other food options, and last year we had hats, and the council was wearing hats last year, and that was a big deal, but those plans are approved and ready to move forward once all of the grading and infrastructure improvements are done out there on the site. So we're excited about that. But at the same time, the world for retail development is changing. And we all talk about e-commerce and everyone's buying things online. So what's happening and what does that bode for our retail centers going forward, looking at that? Well, brick and mortar stores are seeing challenges out there, and we're seeing a number of these stores close. A lot of the bigger stores, we look at Sears. We know that Sears is struggling and likely isn't long for this world. We're concerned about JCPenney. What's going to happen to JCPenney? What's going to happen to Kohl's? Are these folks going to stay in business, or are they going to go away? If they do go away, what happens to these big pieces of land and these big buildings we have in our community? What do we do about that? Well, we're already in conversations with the owners of these centers because this is a phenomenon that's happening nationwide. Everybody is dealing with this. And so we're talking with Whitwood about their plans. I know that the mayor and Connell and other council members that were at ICSC were talking to the owners of the Quad, and the Quad are talking about those things. Henry was there as well. And so all of those kinds of things are being discussed with our major landowners, that they're going to see things happening. What we are hearing from the industry is that major shopping centers are moving towards an experiential mixed-use development that'll include retail, it'll include entertainment, it'll include dining, and it'll include housing, all in a mixed use. And that's likely the direction that we will see things going. We anticipate probably, Connell, in the next year or two, probably next year, we'll have conversations with the owners of Whitwood from Kimco. And I think they want to bring their concept plans out publicly and start chatting with the community about what their center will look like when Sears goes away, and if some of the other stores go away. So again, it's a conversation we need to have here in Whittier, but it's a conversation that's happening nationwide right now because of e-commerce. I'm guilty. I buy online as well, and I think we all do, but it's having an impact on our businesses right here. So the concept of shop local really is important. Some other new things that are happening is some of the housing that's underway. You've seen that the apartments out at Catalina are finally completed and done. Not cheap. I think a one-bedroom unit is leasing for like $1,900 a month, and a two-bedroom is $2,300 a month. So not cheap, and that's what it takes if you want to have a new unit in town, a new apartment unit. We have the apartments that are right down across the street. The old Toyota used car lot is under construction. There's 2 levels of subterranean parking beneath that building, and they're moving along on their construction. And then the townhomes that are over on the corner of Magnolia and Hadley are also under construction. And so that project's moving forward, and that's an ownership product. The other project that is underway right now is the 5 Points Car Wash, and that renovation is underway for the car wash itself, and that will preserve the Googie architecture for that particular car wash. And I think it's going to be an automated car wash when it is done, but it'll still preserve the architecture. And right behind it will be a gated 60-unit apartment complex as well. So again, more housing. We're hearing housing all the time. This is coming from Sacramento. We're hearing this regularly, the housing crisis in California. I know that I'm hearing frustration from some people saying, well, Whittier shouldn't be building more housing. Well, we just dodged a bullet. SB 50 would have required that we allow 4-plex units within, what is it, half mile of a bus line. That would have been basically all along on both sides of Whittier Boulevard for half mile in each direction. In residential, single-family neighborhoods, you could convert your home into a 4-plex. And that would have been permitted by right, and the city would have had no say over that. This is the type of legislation that is coming, and the wave of bills in Sacramento this year is unbelievable to deal with these issues. And a lot of this is driven from Bay Area legislators, but it is an issue that we need to deal with down here because it's impacting us as we have these laws. And so you need to be aware of that. Whittier's doing a good job of trying to produce good quality housing that meets the needs and requirements here. But these laws are becoming much more onerous and will be challenging for the council in the future. And I think will be challenging to be accepted by the community. Unfortunately, the council will have no say over that. And all of these discussions and decisions are being made in Sacramento, not in your local city hall, where I think land use issues should be decided. The other big process that's underway right now is our general plan update, Envision Whittier. Our last general plan update occurred in 1994. Where were you in 94? It's been a long time, but we're going through a comprehensive update to the general plan. And we've had a number of different meetings. I anticipate over the next year we will wrap up the environmental impact report and completing the document and have it ready for hearings and adoption in 2020. So that'll be a great document to go forward. A lot of recommendations will come out of that. You see some of the topic areas that we're talking about in here, but there'll be issues of sustainability and talking about how we can best address transportation issues, land use issues, and services to our community. Moving on to transportation and mobility, we have a lot of traffic mitigation issues that are going on in our community. You know, we've talked about issues of some of the phone apps that we have to move people through. I had to come back from a dental appointment and I got routed through Brea and around, and just because the light was out on Colima, and I got routed all over the place. But I got to my destination a lot faster, and that's great, but it ends up cutting through residential neighborhoods, and now we have trouble managing traffic issues. We're dealing with several issues that are opportunity projects, and that one is our Metro Hotspots projects, which will address 4 key intersections and widen them. A lot of that design is underway and is moving along through the process. Some of those have been approved already, and we'll be looking to go out to bid here in the next year or two to start seeing these improvements. Also, the Groves project will provide nearly $1 million in mitigation funding, as well as reconstruct several key intersections, including Whittier and Philadelphia and Whittier and Sorensen. So you'll see those improvements going on as well. We are also working on synchronization projects, and again, when you can get platoons of cars moving down a corridor, you can move people much more rapidly, and it's nice to hit green lights instead of intermittent red lights all the way down through Whittier Boulevard, for instance. So what we have is Lambert Road will have a synchronization project, and that is all tied to the Greenway Trail expansion, and so that will occur likely later this year. That'll start construction in through next year. Mills and Florence is another project that's been under construction. Much of that is in the county and through Santa Fe Springs, but a portion of that extends into our city. Beverly Boulevard is another project that we've been working with the county on, as well as into Pico Rivera. And yesterday, we just got confirmation that Montebello has jumped on board to this project as well. So that will be a great benefit there for folks that need to commute in towards LA, having a synchronization on all the signals on Beverly Boulevard. We're also working on other transit options, and one of the keys has been the Gold Line, and that's a key project. We're very excited to see that project continue to move forward. We're very optimistic that Washington Boulevard is the appropriate alignment to make that happen, to extend the Gold Line from East LA down Atlantic Boulevard and down through the Citadel shops, past the Commerce Casino, and then out Washington Boulevard and terminate right in front of PIH at Lambert Road. And that's the alignment that is most preferred to us. We're very active. Your council is very active in supporting this project. The environmental impact report process is underway. You'll start hearing notices coming out that next month there will be a kickoff meeting, provide input into the environmental impact report. And so that process, we want to get people out and involved in speaking into that. We will likely see in about 18 to 24 months the final documents and recommendations coming to the Metro Board to select a construction option. And obviously, we will definitely want to rally you to be a part of that, because we want to be connected to transit through the rest of the region. And this is the best way for Whittier to do that. Talk a little bit about some city projects that are happening. Obviously, one of the big things that people like to see is their streets paved. And we have quadrants in where we work and focus into different areas of the city. This particular year, you'll see the streets that are out on the east end, north of Whittier Boulevard, are receiving some treatment out there. And so that'll be the focus for the work this coming year. But we also have a number of other projects that are going to be going on. Santa Gertrudis, south of Whittier Boulevard, down to Leffingwell, will be repaved. Scott Avenue sidewalk, basically from Ditmar to Lambert, will get a sidewalk along the west side of the street there, and that'll actually help for the summer concerts. People that park up in those neighborhoods will now not have to walk either in people's yards or in the street, but will be able to walk on a sidewalk to get down and cross safely to get over to the concert. Also, we have some green projects. We're taking some of our old series wiring electrical streetlight systems and converting them to LED. And this is a really great project. It's a much more energy efficient approach as well, but it makes for a very good system. So that's underway near Vale Drive on Mar Vista. We also have a new traffic signal that's going to be going in at Greenleaf and Putnam that'll help access to the school right near there. We have a new lighted crosswalk that will be going in for pedestrians at Hadley and Washington Avenue. And again, another safety improvement for that area. We have a new decorative fence that will surround the historic depot right across the street. And again, that'll be another item you'll see happening. And then we continue to put in thousands of feet of new water and sewer line as a part of our replacement program. And you may have seen that we've just let another contract for another, 4,000 or 5,000 feet of sewer line. And so these are projects we need to continue to make progress on because of our aging systems are 80 to 100 years old. We also have the Serna Drive sidewalk project that is under design right now. It's a tough design because we have some steep driveways, and I know that our engineers down here are kind of sweating this project a little bit. But it is one of our last safe routes to school projects. The students going to Serna High walk in the street, and that's how they get to school, and we want to get them out of the street. And this is one of the last places where they have to do that. And so we're looking to solve this, and hopefully we'll have this project moving forward later this year is our goal moving forward. So. Kaboom came back, and we had another very successful project and a very exciting project up at Broadway Park. We replaced the playground equipment there, and we just had some great participation out there. Kaboom partnered us with Amway. Amway folks came out and did a great job, but we had the great local support here of our Whittier Community Foundation, Whittier Host Lions, and other groups that came out and really made the day a huge success. And if you haven't been out and been a part of one of these park playground builds, they're fantastic, and hopefully we can do it again, and you definitely need to come out and be a part of that. Owens Park expansion, again, we're moving along on that. The park is about 1.5 acres, but we were able to purchase about 14,000 square feet vacant lot on the north end of the park, and we added that land, but now we want to design it and make the improvements. But we also have an old splash pad water system out there for the kids, and unfortunately that system isn't a recycled system or filtration. Basically you turn on the water and it goes down the drain, and we can't afford to do that with water anymore. And so this particular project will actually install a new splash pad, recycled filtration systems, we'll upgrade restrooms, and it's about a $1.4 million project. Both Supervisor Hahn and Assemblymember Calderon have provided funding to help support these projects, and very excited about seeing this. It's under design now, Greg, so you guys I know are all working to make this project go forward as quickly as we can. Be a nice improvement there. We also have other park projects that are going on. We've been very busy with our parks. Anaconda Park Playground equipment will be replaced. Laurel Park restrooms, we'll be looking to add those later. We also have Gerardo Park fitness equipment coming in. The Greenway Trail West lighting, basically from 5 Points up to Hadley, we're looking to light the trail. And Assemblymember Calderon provided the funding from the state for that project, and so we're in design of that lighting system for that stretch. And then we also have the Greenway Trail East Extension, the last 2.8 miles out to the easterly city limits, and that project is, and you probably saw the article in the paper, we're going through lots of red tape and so forth with other agencies, but we hope to be under construction this fall and moving forward with that final leg of that project and tying into our neighboring cities to the east, and hopefully they can continue the trail through their cities. One of the other major projects that we have is the Central Library, a tremendous need we have. The library is a tremendous resource here in Whittier, and we're so proud of our library. But it's aging, and it needs a lot of TLC. The systems in the building are old. This building's about the same age as me, and I'm breaking down. But we have electrical systems that are getting to the point where they're not, I won't say unsafe, but they're getting there. We get arcing wires every once in a while, and we have to tape them up and things like that. Insulation is falling off, but we don't have fire sprinklers. We need to put a new roof on the building. There's a lot of asbestos in this building, and so a lot of that needs to be remediated. We don't meet all of the ADA requirements for accessibility anymore. We need to widen out our aisles between our shelving, and our elevator needs to be upgraded. So a lot of these things cost a lot of money, and it's going to take about $14 million just to keep what we have, not to expand it, not to do anything over the top. And so that's something that we're working on and grappling with and coming up with some solutions, but that's something we're going to be needing to talk with you further about as to how we fund that, because the library is a critical resource and will continue to be a needed resource in the community for many years to come. You also saw that we joined Clean Power Alliance of Southern California, CPA, and they are providing power now that is generated by them, that they acquire for us. It is delivered by Southern California Edison, and you still pay the bill to them, but it is generated by CPA. And again, we have significantly increased how much of that power is generated by green sources. And so that's a real positive. Residential service started in February, and commercial services already started this month as well. We also have a new friendship city in China, and this is the birthplace of Mao Zedong. And so the connection here between Mao and Richard Nixon was a natural, and so we're entering into this friendship city relationship, and you can see the pictures from the ceremony where we signed that letter. So moving into the fun part, the fiscal update. So what's happening? Well, we got some revenues going up. That's a good thing. Property taxes are up. Sales taxes are up a little bit, but sales taxes aren't going up real fast. But franchise fees are up. But we have some challenges, and it's not unlike businesses aren't facing the same thing when it comes to healthcare costs for your employees. That's a classic issue that any employer has. We have that. The other issue that is significant to us is our public employee retirement system costs are going up. Minimum wage costs hit our city as well because we have a lot of part-timers, and so that is another significant cost that is hitting us as well. But overall, we have normal costs that increase for our services that we provide. Looking forward, these are the projections going forward. The sad part about these numbers is that these are all deficits going forward. So we're in a year now where we're looking at a $3 million deficit for the upcoming fiscal year. And then you see in 2021 at the $3.5 million, that already factors in another $1 million coming in off of the Groves project of new revenue. So that number would have been $4.5 million. So these are the challenges that the council is grappling with. We've been very well managed fiscally for years and years. We continue to be, but this is what all cities are facing right now. So where's this coming from? Well, one of the areas that it's coming from is retirement system. And you can see cumulatively over in the far right column, this next year, our cost for contributions into the PERS retirement system will go up $1.2 million. And then it'll go up another 1.3 million the next year, so you're up 2.5 million. Well, basically, by the time you get through 5 years, we will have doubled our contribution because we started at a $6 million a year contribution. Now we're going to be at $12 million, or almost $13 million a year contribution for public employee retirement. And that's the challenge that we have and all public agencies are dealing with right now. Everyone's living longer. Healthcare is producing these situations where people live longer, and it's more costly to provide, retirement benefits over the lifespan of a person who's going to live another decade or more. And it's those kinds of things that are impacting our retirement costs. So overall, we're in a very healthy position. Our general fund balance is $25 million. Actually, these numbers have changed a little bit. You see the little asterisk says the $750,000 from the Nellis Development Agreement fee. That actually, the council moved that number out of the general fund balance down to the construction fund to the library. So you're down to 24 million and change overall, which is a very healthy position. Our PERS reserve, again, we have $3 million set aside from the days when PERS was very rich, and the council set that aside. We'll trickle that into the budget over the next year or so. And then we also have our construction fund, so we're approaching $3 million, but you go back, that number was 14 million is what we need. And so those are the kinds of things that council is grappling with going forward as we try and make decisions about how we continue to provide services and how we fund the needed investments in our facilities for our community. So, what are we going to do going forward, and what is the council discussing? Obviously, we're discussing the pension costs and healthcare cost increases. We're also talking about needed investments in our community and sustaining what I'll call mission-critical functions. We care, number one, about public safety. We need public safety. We need our infrastructure above all else. We need those components. Those are the mission critical. Are the other items not mission critical? Well, I don't know if they're mission critical. They're really important. We are about providing services, library services, and our services for our community through our recreation programs. All those are critical and important, but public safety and infrastructure is probably number one. We need more public safety services. We know over time we're going to continue to need that. We haven't been expanding our police force as our population grows. How are we going to invest and do that? That's an item that the council is talking about, how we continue to provide those services. going forward in light of some of the challenges that we're facing on the horizon here. And it's not really the horizon, we're into the storm now. How do we weigh potential budget or service reductions? You can't just go out there and keep on saying, just give us more money, tax yourself more, give us more money. And that's an option. If you want to do that, council will probably say, okay, that's easier. But we're looking at what kinds of service reductions might be necessary if we aren't able to increase revenues. And the council's, these are hard decisions. When you come right down to it, we're not saying don't buy more paper and don't buy more pens and paper clips. When you're in a service agency like a school district, or if you're like a city, what you do is done by people. And so you cut people and you stop providing a certain service. And those are hard decisions, and the council is going to have to weigh that versus other ways of raising new revenue. Simple as that, but complex at the same time. So going forward, the council is looking at service reductions or reductions in our budget. They're looking at audits of some of our revenue streams, and they're looking at the potential for a potential sales tax measure. Is that going to be something that we go forward with? We don't know. We're in the process, and the council has got a pollster working on doing a poll of residents in our community to see where they would fall in potential support of a tax measure. If you've looked around, you've probably noticed almost every city around us already has a increased sales tax surrounding us. If you look around back in November, I think there was 88 cities statewide approved new sales tax measures. Should Whittier do that? I don't know, but I think that's, again, a decision we're going to need to make. And if we do that, it will likely come up at your next election. And that'll be an item for you to discuss. But it's a critical issue, and it comes down to how do we continue providing the services that the residents and business community expect here in Whittier. So that's, in a nutshell, the fiscal challenge that we're faced with and hard decisions, and the council is working really hard on this. This is one of their highest priorities. In the meantime, we're working on a lot of priorities in the work plan as a part of the budget. Again, the Groves is up there. We've got Greenway Trail and Lambert Road signal synchronization, streetscape plan, parking structure. I mean, you see the things that are going on here. General plan update, whether we do a tax ballot measure, that'll take some time. We have all of our park projects that are underway right now. We've got the central library issue. We've got our green efforts. We're trying to do as much as we can to be green, and we're doing a lot of light conversions. We have implementation of our homeless action plan, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. After school program efficiencies, we're talking, Mark and others of us with the school districts and some of the social service providers that have after school programs are talking about how do we not duplicate efforts, and how do we make sure that we have efficient, well-planned programs for our youth after school. And so we're having those conversations right now. And then our water and sewer replacement projects. So that's just in a nutshell what the work plan looks like for the coming fiscal year. It's a huge undertaking. Our staff here is doing an amazing job, and they're carrying a big load right now, and they're delivering a lot of projects and a lot of services, and it's pretty exciting to see. Public safety. Again, public safety, overall, major crimes are down. You'll probably have noticed Aviv does a great job, Captain Barr does a great job in putting out a lot of social media updates, and you've probably, if you follow that, you've seen that there has been some significant drug busts of late. A lot of dealers and people that are sourcing some methamphetamine, heroin, and things like that in the community, and so they've been actually cutting off a lot of sources out there. That's always an issue and concern. The chief and I chatted with one community group about this issue a while ago, and people were upset about the homeless having drugs, and unfortunately the world we live in right now is you had a case where if you have a residue of heroin in a syringe, in a needle on your possession, that's not a crime. It's not a crime in California. Prop 47 took that away. And so people are concerned, well, if you do have drugs in your possession, well, you're going to get arrested and taken away, right? Well, not necessarily. You might end up with just a citation and walking away. And that's the law in California. The voters voted that in place. And so those are the kinds of items that are being discussed in Sacramento and other places, and but it has an impact here locally. Obviously, we want you to continue to be vigilant, and if you see something, say it's something, don't hesitate to call the police department. They'll definitely follow up. We want you to be a part of a neighborhood watch group. And again, tap into nextdoor.com and other social media sources like that to be vigilant in your own neighborhood and protect your neighbors and be a part of that. So, the big issue during the last several months has been homelessness issues, and it's no surprise we dealt with several encampment issues, and that was a lot of work. Just real quickly, a little bit about who's homeless and what are we dealing with here in Whittier. Last year we had a count of around 200 homeless in our community, and you can see some of the breakdown. Countywide, there's about 45,000 homeless in the county. That's an entire city of homeless individuals that are spread throughout our communities. Of that, 36,000 are unsheltered. SPA 7, which is our area, is about 4,500, and then the 4th Supervisorial District has got about 4,100 homeless individuals. To give you an idea of the number, the vastness of what we're dealing with, how does that manifest itself to our police department? This is the increase in calls for service related to homelessness. You can see it's gone up 377% since 2013. That's a huge impact on our police department. They're constantly dealing with calls for service related to homeless individuals. It may not be a crime, but I see somebody that's sitting on a bench that looks homeless and he's got his possessions in a shopping cart. It's not a crime, but it's still a call for service that comes in, and our police department needs to deal with that. And so those are some of the challenges of how this is impacting our police department, and you see the overall volume. We're working with a lot of different folks to deal with providing resources and services to the homeless. This is just a bit of a list of some of those folks and the shelter options that are out there. Again, there's up to 85 crisis beds and 106 transitional beds, but that's nowhere near what's needed in our community alone. And we are, I think, light years ahead of some of our neighboring cities in what we are doing to help the homeless. And many of our cities surrounding us haven't stepped up as far as we have. So we deal with this issue a lot. Why can't you just remove the homeless? Make them go away. Wave your wand. Many of you have heard the Martin versus City of Boise case. This is the decision of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal, and it just basically says that it's not a crime to be homeless, and you cannot make it a crime. Therefore, you can't remove somebody unless you have a shelter bed to take them to, and that's the critical component. Do we have enough shelter beds in Whittier for each of our homeless individuals? And the simple answer is no, we don't. So how do we do that? That's the conversation we're having right now. We have a lot of discussions and efforts going on. We have a homelessness ad hoc committee, and again, Henry and Kathy are serving on that and working very hard and looking at various options. We're looking at the homeless plan implementation that I referenced earlier. We're looking at public education. We're looking at a shared space ordinance. If you are going to have someone living in a public space, can they have their tent up 24/7, or does it have to be taken down? How many possessions can they have with them, or can they spread all kinds of stuff around them? And is there a reasonable standard that they need to comply with? We're looking at potentials for shelter space, additional shelter space, whether it's here or regionally, that we can all work with. We're actively working as part of the Gateway Cities Council of Governments Technical Advisory Committee on Homelessness. And so we're talking with other cities. I'm talking with a few of our other neighboring cities city managers looking at other solutions to make that happen. So important items. Again, how can you help? You can tap in a number of different ways, including the LA HOP is the best way for you to refer somebody that is in need of help. So, what's coming up? It's summertime, well, almost. Yesterday was a little bizarre. I know my son lives right near Martin Plurd's house, and they had hail that came down like snow in the neighborhood, and so my grandkids and his granddaughter were oohing and awing with that, so they were loving that yesterday. So that was in Upland, but here we got plenty of rain. But it will be warming up, and you'll want to come out and be part of Movies in the Park. Our concerts in the park have been obviously a great hit. We have our whole Hollywood Bowl concert series, Pink Martini, and Earth, Wind, and Fire? Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yeah. I'm not going to break any moves here. I'll save it for the concert. Okay. And then we have our summer reading club. And again, something for everybody to be a part of this summer. Come on out and be a part of that. Before that, though, we have our Memorial Day ceremony. And again, a great way to be a part of remembrance here on Monday, 9 a.m., right out here in front of the Peace Memorial at City Hall, and ask you to be a part of that. Then 4th of July, we have our fireworks spectacular, live music by Cold Duck. Cold Duck's a great band, and we'll have a great show, great time for the family to come on out and be a part of things. So encourage you to come out and be a part of the great things happening in Whittier this summer. Lots of ways for you to be connected. Encourage you to continue to tap into social media. We also, I also want to just give a special thanks. The folks around these tables up here do a fantastic job. Our department head team, I wish you'd give them a round of applause. This is what they do. They're the ones that make all these things happen on here. They're the ones that do the heavy lifting and writing the reports and negotiating the contracts. They do all of this work. I just get to get up here and look pretty and yeah. Oh.
Sorry.
But no, truly, they're the ones that make it happen, and I just want to give credit where credit is due. They do a great job. So. With that, thank you very much. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.